Yes, we've got an absolute topper of the day. It's what I've got down here is a hard bastard, Craig Moore.
I don't know about a hard bastard, but I love to compete.
Thanks for coming on, mate. We're desperate to get you on for ages, eh?
Well, yeah, we've spoken a few times, so good to finally be here. Weather's shit as normal, but nice to be here.
There was a few racy texts between us. That one you sent me your top off is my favourite.
Aye, yeah.
Right, I've got you down here as the third hardest Australian. You want my other two?
I'll go for... You got Kevin Muscat there?
Muscat's number one, mate.
Who's number one?
Number two
who's number two?
Harold Bishop for Neighbours.
Yeah, no, it's been a while since I've seen him.
Right, we'll come to Muscat in a bit, but who's harder, you or Muscat? I want to know that first question. So you can vote people, man.
I'd never consider myself as a hard player. Like I said, I love to compete. Muskie's a great mate of mine. He probably crossed the line at times, but certainly a fantastic guy off the field. But at times, like I said, was what did you say? The red mist on the field. He certainly had a few more issues than what I've had on the field. But
off the field, top man, because he lived next door to John Higgins when he was here. You all lived in Bothwell, didn't you?
He was living next door to John Higgins, yeah. So that was in Bothwell. He's a champion. Anybody that has met Muskie off the field, right, no matter what they've thought before, I go, listen, meet him, have a chat with him, have a beer with him, whatever, and then tell me what you think afterwards.
Yeah.
Mate, they all say, what a champion bloke.
That's it. Right, on to the career. Football as a kid, or was it rugby? Was it all sports? What we're talking?
As a kid growing up, I was like a lot of Aussies. I guess you experiment with a lot of different sports. So I done little athletics for 5 years. I'd done cricket for a couple of years. But the athletics and the football sort of like were at the same time. So eventually, when I got to 10 or 11, I kind of zoned in on the football side of things because it was something that I enjoyed. And wanted to, from a very early age, become a professional. Didn't know what that looked like or what that meant at that particular time. One game at school, rugby league, the AFL, the one that you see, where we get really big crowds for that. I come from a state which probably was more rugby league than AFL.
So who pushed you in football? Was it your dad? Was it a coach?
I think older brother.
Older brother, right?
Older brother. So I had an older brother, Troy, who was...
Troy, great name.
Much
better than Craig.
Much better. He was a much better player as well.
Was he?
Mate, he was a much better player. He had natural talent.
Right.
You know, he just had that ability where he didn't have to work that hard. And I guess, like, you know, we've all seen 16, 17 drink girls and kind of then slipped away, where I had to work my ass off to be decent at it. You know, and I just had that obsession, I guess, to want to improve and to want to get to a level.
See, when you say work your arse off in, so what would you do differently? Practice more? Was it work harder in training? Always.
I mean, nowadays kids don't really practice away from training.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so and society's changed, I guess, in terms of, you know, we're less likely to let our kids out longer in the streets and what have you. But
I let mine play on the motorway.
Mate, brilliant, eh? Fast, eh? Yeah, mate, they'll make good decisions, eh?
Exactly.
That's happened. But no, for me, it's just practice. You're always out in the ball, kicking the ball out the street and, you know, playing games, playing with my older brother and his older friends who were 3-4 years older, who kind of were wanting to stamp their authority and kick the living shit out of you. You've got to learn. You've got to learn early doors how to compete and how to look after yourself.
Brilliant. So how were you spotted by Rangers over in Australia?
We had... no longer with us, Eddie Thompson. I don't know whether you remember Eddie Thompson. He played for Hearts, he played for Aberdeen, I believe, and was good friends with Archie Knox and Walter Smith. He became the national team coach of Australia. So he's seen me coming through the youth ranks. I was involved in under-17s World Cup and under-20 World Cup in 1993. Done quite well, and I think it was through Eddie Thompson and the connection that he had at Rangers. I had the opportunity to come over and have a trial for 2 weeks. I impressed and then was offered a 3-year contract. So that's fairly much how it happened, how quickly it happened. But you know what it's like in football and life in general. Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know for that initial opportunity.
Was Eddie Thompson, you said he was pals with Archie Knox and Walter Smith, was he similar to them coaching wise?
Yes.
What,
yes.
Very tough on you?
Yeah, no, very much so. But at the same time, when they see somebody that they believe that has got a little bit, they do everything they possibly can to support that and help that talent get through. And especially in Australia, where we don't have, back then it was a semi-professional league, we don't have a conveyor belt of unbelievable talent. So, you know...
diamonds, he looks for the diamonds.
They try and get around the ones that they think that have got a chance and support them as best as they can.
You know anything about Rangers when you first came over?
Nothing.
No?
Nothing at all. As a kid growing up, It was English football. That's all we kind of got. I had a good mate who's actually works now for the SFA, Stuart McLaren.
All right, I know I have.
So,
Stuart. Yeah.
So funny enough, we come through the Centre of Excellence together back at AIS in Canberra as 15-year-old boys, and I remember him having posters all over his wall. Maybe I shouldn't say this because he probably says he's neutral now. He's got Glasgow Rangers team photos up all over the place. So I'd heard about this football club, Glasgow Rangers, but prior to coming, I knew none of the history. I knew nothing about the football club. But I tell you what, you have to learn quick, don't you? Mm-hmm. You have to learn quick.
Yeah, of course you do. What post did you have, Peter Andre?
Peter Andre, no, I was more Kylie Minogue.
Now we're talking. You need to learn quickly, as you say, but going into that, was it a first team dressing room you went into straight away?
No, I went into
the youths?
No, I was in with the youths. I signed a youth contract, not like the old YTS. I went on to a professional contract.
A few quid?
Well, not even back then, to be honest with you. I think it was about £300 a week. It wasn't, and again, it wasn't the money. It was the opportunity. But again, so I've come in. You go into the youth team dressing room. Boys are on the apprenticeships and all that sort of stuff. So you know what it's like. It's like going back to school again. You've got to earn the respect of the playing group, and that's always interesting when you go to a new club. I met a great mate who I'm still great friends with in Charlie Miller.
Oh, what a character, man!
You know, he was that great young talent that was head and shoulders above everybody in that group at that time, and he was brilliant because he helped me settle in. And when you're kind of settling in with one of the better players at the football club, it helps things, I guess.
Did he ever take you up Castlemilk?
Plenty of times.
No way.
Plenty of times.
Why did you drink it? Shitting yourself?
It was an experience, but Charlie had a group of mates, didn't he, that would do anything for him, that looked after him, and although you go into certain areas and you kind of think, oof, it's a little bit rough, you still felt comfortable because you're with the right people.
So what, just a few beers now in Castlemilk?
Charlie wasn't really a beer drinker when he was younger, was he? So it was just more, you kid, you're talking a little bit of shit, aren't you? You're watching the football. A little bit later, Charlie learned how to drink beer, and we give it a nudge. But no, he's a great guy, and what a player he was as well.
What was the difference in a young Scottish changing room compared to a young Australian changing room?
Just the banter, it's ruthless. You know, you walk in thinking that you're going to be a nice, quiet slide in. Maybe you got a shit pair of trainers, your gears. Mate, they're all over it. They're all. How am I going today?
Got slaughtered there.
Mate, I did, by the way.
Did you get slaughtered there?
Bob Malcolm. Even if it was good, it was bad. But that was the way it was, you know. And it's a tough school, but at the same time, you come through that. I think, you know, I've been lucky enough to get some unbelievable relationships through that. And that banter is something that even back in Australia, I've missed. Because it's that quick-witted sense of humour, isn't it?
So did you take that straight away, or did it take you a while to think, this is a bit much for me?
It took me a year before I could understand people, I think. I was like, what? Pardon? But once you got through that, normally after a couple of beers, you can understand people a little bit easier. But nah, like I said, it took me about a year. To get up to speed, to really feel comfortable, to I guess have that relationship within the playing group, and to really go on and enjoy yourself, to be able to kick on.
See, that first year, did you ever think I'm going to go home?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes. Even before I come over, I'll be honest, I kind of last minute, I was with my dad at the airport. An opportunity come to sign just in a semi-professional club down in Melbourne, and I go, Dad, I think I'm going to stay. I think it's better that I develop here and all that sort of stuff. And he goes, son, mate, go overseas, do what you can do. If you don't like it, you can always come home. First year, Walter Smith was unbelievable because at the back end of the year, I think I had a hernia operation. And he kind of knew that I was a little bit down there, and goes, mate, go home, get yourself home, spend some time with mum and dad and the family. And he was brilliant, Walter. He used to, once a week, he'd say, mate, you come into the office, we'll all clear the office, phone mum and dad.
Brilliant,
mate, they were unbelievable. And that for me was something that made the club so special. It was one of those ones where they do everything possible, especially when you've come a long way. And they know that you've not got your family and you've not got your friends and all that sort of stuff. So they were different class throughout that process.
Archie Knox as well. Any stories about Archie Knox? How scary he can be? He was my youth team manager at Scotland. I was shit scared of him, man.
Mate, I think a lot of people are shit scared of him. Archie is, mate, he's at you constant, isn't he? You know, but at the same time, when you come away from football.
Oh, he's a top man, isn't he?
Unbelievable. But I tell you what, he was a hard taskmaster. I remember. Well, I don't remember it that well. I think we played a game at Falkirk. Alan McLaren had a shot from about 40 yards. It hit me in the back of the melon. I'm all over the shop. I ended up getting subbed off. That game come in, and McCoist and Archie Knox were mate. They had to be separated on a couple of occasions, mate. They were going ding dong, ding dong. I think Archie wasn't happy. Coyce come on as a sub or something like that. He wasn't happy with the time that he had on the field. They're swearing at each other in the dressing room. Mate, Archie's like, "You'll be in tomorrow." He goes, "I'm fucking not in tomorrow." All right, so that was going back and forward, mate. I come into all sorts. Archie had I guess a tough side as well. Yeah. But we've experienced a side where coming away from it, he's a top bloke, top man.
As you say, you got into the first team dressing room. It was a stick merciless amongst them. McCoist, Gascoigne, Durant's quick as well, isn't he? Mate,
well, Coyce and Durrani, if you want to stay out of trouble, mate, you steer out of their way, because what a combination they were. You could have the worst day in your life, and you walk into that dressing room, and it brought a smile to your face. We kind of, had that dressing room, especially with characters like your Coisties and your Duranis, where they don't stop. They don't stop. They're at you 24/7. But it made it a good atmosphere. It made it a good dressing room. But they were ruthless as well.
Was it right?
Yeah. No.
What in terms of, have you wanted to do it in training?
100%. Because the generation, our culture back then was drinking and performing. It was that was the way that it was. But at the same time, if you couldn't perform at training, I mean, Walter Smith, you didn't want to get on the wrong side of Walter Smith. But it didn't even get to him, because the players were that competitive, were that desire to go and win. If they'd known that you'd been out for a drink and then you were rubbish the next day at training, they'd be like, "Don't fucking go out."
Brilliant.
Don't go out, because if you can't perform and you can't back up, mate, that's not what we're all about.
Yeah.
So
could they go out and then perform the next day every time?
They always made it a point. Not so much Coisty, but Durante. If he'd been out the next day, any kind of physical running and all that sort of stuff, mate, always at the front. So again, it was like, we've had a couple of beers, but mate,
we can handle it.
I'm here and I'm training harder than anybody. But that was a majority back then, Today it's not possible.
And you said you used to love kicking Durant and training?
I didn't mind, because the wee man was, what a player. I mean, I would have loved to have seen him obviously prior to my time, because what I seen when I was here was an unbelievable talent. What a player he was, but great dribbler, wasn't he? Great dribbler, and he used to get the ball and try to go on his mazes and all that sort of stuff, and I'd be coming sliding with a big scissor. He goes, "Oh, you mad Aussie bastard." Mate, he used to give me a bit of stick. We used to catch him every now and then. But again, like I said, that was part and parcel of our training.
You mentioned the drinking culture. Do you have a particular day that you enjoyed with them?
Normally it was a Tuesday, wasn't it? I mean,
where would you go? Was it Duckberry you used to go?
No, we ended up. It depends. At different times. We used to go to the Steps Bar in my first, when I was younger lad. McCoy, Durant, Bomber, Stuart McCall, all the Scottish lads and all that. We used to go into the Steps Bar, get into a little quiet place, and be left alone. And then normally the Wednesday was off. This is obviously when you didn't have maybe you weren't having the European stuff midweek. So Tuesday was a physical day, so you had Durant at the front running like a madman. Lunch, beers. Wednesday was off. So if there was nothing in the newspaper, that meant it was a good night. And then Thursday you would hear all the stories. So that was the way it was back then.
Brilliant. Was it hard to get into the first team when you first? Why was it so hard? Was the standard a centre half so good?
Unbelievable. I think in my time it was. Goffey was unbelievable leader, unbelievable captain.
Fun. Great stories.
You had, obviously, Bomber, John Brown, Dave McPherson was there, Alan McLaren, who was a great talent that unfortunately injury cut short. They signed Gordon Petrich, had Daniel Prodan. Wow. Mate, so I played a small role in the first 5-6 years as a fringe player, sort of like, played in midfield, played as a fullback. I think it come up.
You played midfield, did you?
A lot of the time, a lot of those earlier games. And that was just because I guess Walter felt that there was good energy and I could go in and win the ball and give it to people that could play. I mean, there's no embarrassment in saying that, I think I come on as a sub up at Aberdeen, as a striker, the last 5-10 minutes. We ended up winning 1-0. I scored a header from about 1 yard out. They all count.
Of course
they all count. But it took me, a lot of people think that happened overnight. It took me 6 years. 6 years really before I actually had to leave and then come back before I become a starting 11 player. Such was the incredible depth of this. And I was a younger player, so that was part of my apprenticeship.
What about older players taking you under the wing? Anyone that saw something in you, gave you advice, helped your game?
Goffey was brilliant. And again, because I think you look at, and you would have spoken to him, Goffey's story, he come as a young lad. His story was similar to mine in terms of he knew what it meant to come from a different country, so far away, to have no friends and family and all that sort of stuff. So
he's still not got any friends. Kidding on, Goff.
Yeah. No, he's by the way, he still looks fit as well.
Tremendous yoga he does every morning.
Mate, well, I'll sack that.
what did he help in your game? Was it maybe
I mean, obviously, in terms of your game, it was like your game. I think you improve daily because of the players that you were training with. I'm a young lad and I'm watching in. So you're seeing the type of defenders that you've got and their positioning, and when they go and anticipate, when just important decisions that you have to make in a game. But again, these were the days where Rangers were pretty dominant. So you're kind of bossing all the games. Set pieces, he was unbelievable, wasn't he? I mean, he scored so many goals in terms of set pieces. He was brave. He loved the headband after getting cut. But no, he was an unbelievable leader. One person at a club. He controlled the dressing room. He made sure that when maybe there was a little bit of a dip, that he got the boys together in a positive way, which was normally only 5 beers, not 20. But I just knew when to be able to get the group to get them back to a level to make sure that we could kick on again.
What about playing up against McLeish in training? Would he give you a bit verbally?
I guess Coisty, isn't it? I mean, Coisty was an unbelievable player. And again, that's what I say about training with players that have such quality. I learned so much just by
training against them.
And that's unbelievable when you can work against players day in, day out of that quality. He had that double movement where he'd fake as if he's going to the near post and then back post. And as a defender, that's hard because you're trying to watch ball and opponent. His movement was great. I remember once when I was playing, I was in a central defender area, and he's kind of dropped in a midfield. Normally when the head's down, you know that they're going to play the pass, right? So his head's down, I've gone to the pass that I thought he was going to play, and he's given it the no eyes one through, and he just looked at me and goes, "There, son, clever player here, and he gave me another really good bit of advice, which I would give to anybody that goes to big clubs, is like you need to have thick skin to survive in a top football club, because as much as you will experience good times, the expectation every day, and there's going to be bad times, are you able to work through that?"
Deal with it. Brilliant stuff. You made 31 appearances in 9 in a row season. What a year to kind of come in at the team and actually contribute now.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, and 31 appearances. I don't know where those 31 were. They would have been all over the place.
Right.
But look, again,
just to be involved,
mate, to be involved, to contribute in any possible way. Even if you're coming off the bench, I think it's important that you don't win a title with 11 players. It's about every individual. So like when they're required to come on and make an impact and do something and keep momentum going. And at that particular season, again, after being there for some time, realised how important it was to the fans. Massive year to equal the record of 9 in a row. So to be involved in that, and Tannadice.
Was it not tough being a young guy, though, that like the pressure that was on the club that year, and you've got to come in and play your part, and there's no room for coming on and maybe no performing because it was so important to win 9 in a row?
No, it was massive, but
that stand you in good stead then, maybe for throughout your career.
I think it creates that character that it enables you to get through tough times, because, like I said, it's not always good. I've had times where kind of have struggled, but I think all the talk in that year was done by the media. In-house, it wasn't discussed. Obviously, we knew what was what was at stake and what was potentially there for us at the end of the season, but. Like what happens a lot in Glasgow, a lot of the talk is done through the media and not necessarily from the people that are actually directly involved with what can or can't happen.
So did it ever boil over, that pressure within years, or was Walter very good at keeping you calm?
No, he was good. Walter was he was an unbelievable manager. He knew the domestic game inside out. He had a nasty side.
Did you ever get that early on?
No, I never. But I certainly seen it. I mean, there was a time there when he had Gascoigne pinned to the wall for Gaza. I mean, Gaza's brilliant. But Gazza was doing a little bit more what Gazza wanted than what necessarily Walter Smith wanted, and what was good for the team. And I remember Gazza was shaking. He was shaking. He shit himself. You know, like Walter had, because he's just, you know, this gentleman, presents well, speaks well, but when he went for you, mate, cut through you like a knife.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was scary.
Seeing him doing that to Gascoigne must have been unbelievable. I need to ask you about Gascoigne. Have you got a favourite story about him?
There's so many. I mean, look, I think he's just these genius type of characters. They're different, aren't they? You know, like I remember a couple of times we're getting off a train at the Cricklewood Club and a young boy, Gazza, can you sign my ball? And he'd sign the ball and then volley it down the street. And I'm thinking, hey, what are you doing? And the boy's like, he's like, go get it, son. Just things
Were
like
you
that.
ever on the receiving end? Did you ever do any of you?
Nah. But Gazza, he had this bag of tricks as well, didn't he? He used to carry this bag, and mate, he'd see something in the newspaper, a good picture, a bad picture, a funny picture. Man, he'd just plank things. he'd just store things and just wait for his moment to come out with, but really, really random stuff. I mean, Coyce, he's told the story about the fish in Gordon Jury's car. Mate, he was constant. Like, it's one of those ones you go and you know you've got a job to do, but you've also got one eye on what's Gascoigne up to. What's he up to?
Would he have been the best player on that team?
Him and Loudrick were phenomenal, weren't they? I think, you know, I get asked all the time. I mean, we internationals all over the place. I remember sort of like when it was international break, I'm back training with 3 players because everyone's away. They were all internationals back in the day. Yeah. But Gascoigne and Loudrick were world class.
So they're even a step ahead of Durant and McCoy, huh?
I think, yeah. I think what they could have done and what they did do in terms, I just think, look, Coyce was incredible. Mark Haitley at that time, I think that was an unbelievable strike partnership, wasn't it? When you look at combinations. Durant was phenomenal. But Gazza and Loudrick were players that could just single-handedly win a game by themselves. And I think when you have that exceptional talent,
we did this stuff in training that you just think, wow.
Yeah. I mean, like that was a good thing is we see it all the time because we're training against these players, so we know what they're capable of. When they used to do it to the opponents at the weekend, you just shake your head, go, I don't know how many times I've seen that before, but they don't have the advantage as us, you know, where every day you're seeing what type of player is. But Gazza was one of those ones where you go, give me the ball, right? He's got a simple pass. He didn't want to do that. He'd wait 5 or 10 seconds, mate. He'd wait until you try and come to win the ball. I mean, have a little bit of fun with you, twist, turn, and then play the ball that he could have played 10 seconds ago. He was just that good. He was that good, you know.
You were Tannadice, night when the 9 was won. Where does that highlight rank in your career?
Look, it was a special night, more for I guess for the football club. I was a young player coming through, so it was great to be involved in that. I know that it was something that would be talked about for many, many years. It was like I said, it was just great to be involved, more because of what it meant to the fans. Yeah. You know, we all get, you know, not we all, but when you get that opportunity to play for a football club, I think at times we don't really let the fans know how important they are to the team, and to know how important it was to the fans of the football club, to everybody involved in the football club, and to be a part of it was pretty special. And Loudrick scored ahead of that day, so it was special. It was special, and it was a Charlie Miller cross as well. So.
Do you remember where you went after 9 in a row? Was one?
Oh mate, I can't. But we probably hit many places. we probably hit many places because back then it was all about. Working hard and having fun and making sure you enjoyed it as well.
That's what I saw. But Richard Gough leaves, you must think, right, I'm going to be Rangers centre half now. Not really, because one that I forgot is Jockey Bjorklund also coming. Joachim Bjorklund, good player, wasn't he? Swedish.
Bjorklund, yeah. Handsome. So he coming. Look, when you're a young player coming through at a club, and you have a club that continually sign players and they spend money to sign those players, you know that it's very difficult to go and cement your position as a starting 11 player. So, you know, after we didn't have the success of 10 in a row, yeah, so Walter announced that he was leaving, Gascoigne left, Loudrick. It was kind of like then Advocat come in. It was the end of an era kind of thing. And at that time I felt, well, haven't really been a starting 11 player in 6 years that I've been here. I've worked ever so hard to try and get there. It doesn't look likely that I'm going to get to play as a central defender. So I kind of sort of like left when everybody else was leaving.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity, fortunately, to come back, but come back then as a starting 11 player in a central defence.
Would you never go to a manager and say, why am I want to be a centre half? I want to play centre half.
I'd had all those conversations, you know, like for me as a player, you can't go and knock on the manager's door unless you're
established.
Not even, you've got to be established. Can't be a young boy in there 2 weeks and all of a sudden you're knocking on the manager's door saying, mate, why am I not playing? You got to earn the respect and you got to get some runs on the board. 5 or 6 seasons. You know, Walter was, you know, he knew that obviously my best position was a central defender, but at that time, there were better, more experienced
players. Did you think they were better than you at that time?
No, I got to a stage later on where, you know, 4, 5, 6 years where I felt as if I could have done a job as a central defender. I would have loved to play alongside Goffey. I think we would have done
suited each other
well.
wouldn't you?
And I don't even know whether we did. I remember playing as a central defender in one of my few games under Walter Smith against Hearts at home. Big De Vries was up
Mark
top.
De Vries,
Man, he's a big lad. But he never had a sniff that game, and we've had that conversation. It was kind of, you know, I was young, I was aggressive. I went and attacked things in the air. In terms of building up and all that sort of stuff, getting to people that can play, because you know, back four you look to make sure that you're organised and you build a platform. But we got players that can go and score goals.
No, you're not there to score goals, man. You're there to
stop I wasn't. No.
Terry, why do you think it never happened?
Got asked this the other day. I believe that through the media, Walter announcing that he was leaving early, losing Gascoigne. I think Laudrup went to Chelsea on a free at the end of the year, but the news had broke earlier.
Oh, yeah.
I just think that all the media just became a bit, not too much of the players, because we've been through so much, but at some stage, obviously, it has an impact. And clearly, this season, for me, it had an impact. I guess looking back, you know, whatever business that was going to be done, if that could have been done at the end of the season, who knows?
Was that a tough place to be that year?
Yeah, it's always a tough place. Even when you're winning, it's a tough place. But obviously, you know, knowing that history's on the line, and we were, I think, 10, 12 points clear at Christmas. So to kind of to go on and my memory in terms of how we lost it is not unbelievable, but to be in that kind of position and to lose it, certainly we didn't finish the back end of the season well, did we?
No, too many beers. No, I'm kidding on.
Yeah.
Right, so Dick Advocate, as you say.
Yeah.
Initial impressions, did you think he liked you at first?
I knew that he liked us at first before I left, because he made a late play to try and keep us. But at that time, I think, you know, again, Colin Hendry had come in. I think the chairman had signed, David Murray had signed Colin Hendry. I kind of just made up my mind. I was 23. Went to Crystal Palace, Terry Venables, who I'd worked with the national team.
What a legend, Terry Venables.
You know, LTL. So I had the experience to work with him with the national team, so I knew what a wonderful coach he was. To have the opportunity to go and work with him at Crystal Palace, I go, now's probably the right time. But I knew that Dick Advocate was keen in terms of, he liked what he's seen in the short period. Things went tits up at Palace financially. I think the owner at the time, Mark Goldberg, who was a fan, really nice man, but financially they were struggling. So I had the opportunity to come back to Rangers.
Terry Venables, what makes him so good? Does he like a sunbed?
Oh, he loved a lot lot of things, I'm sure.
Does he like a beer as well, Terry?
He was more. I don't think he was
red wine or
more, mate. He'd be drinking the finest wine and the cigar. And
what sort of manager? He's not a coach, is he?
No, he's an unbelievable coach.
Is he?
He's an unbelievable coach. He's brilliant.
On the training ground, is he, right?
He's brilliant on the training ground. That's what he's all about. In my opinion, that's what he's all about. Right. Because my experience of working with him is like, he could break down any part of the game. You know, I remember even at Crystal Palace, and you know, sometimes as a defender, you maybe lunge a little bit, and he'd come down and he'd break it down. He goes, "Well, why are you lunging? So now, can you actually move again if you need to move again? No, you can't. Can you?" So he was detailed. Right. He was unbelievable coaching in every area. Also a fantastic manager because he was a good person. You know, he's a great person. He had that ability to connect with people. But if anybody thinks that he wasn't a coach, he was.
I thought he would just be like a figurehead and he would have coaches around the boot. I thought he was just a personality now.
Loved to coach.
Did he?
And brilliant at it.
Right, going back to Rangers, what was the mindset going back? You know, was it still Dick Advocaat then?
Yes.
So,
yes. Was not easy. I know the club inside out. Got a fair idea of what the manager's like already because I had a period of time where you were there.
You still speaking to other players that were there as well?
Yeah, of course, you know. So I knew exactly what I was going back to. I know that it can be hard a second time round to go back and have an impact at a club. But at the same time, I felt that I certainly could make that impact because I didn't see my first 6 years at the football club as a huge success personally because I never established myself as a starting 11 player. So,
was there a conversation with Dick Advocaat before you went back saying, listen, if I come back here, I need to play?
Nah. I
never be that type?
Nah. No, you don't. If a club are signing you and they're looking to bring you back, you start at 100%.
Yeah.
What you lose is down to you. You know, normally they're not signing you to sit in the stand or sit in the bench.
Mm-hmm. What was pre-season like when you went back? Tough under Dick?
No, his pre-seasons were quality, right? Because they weren't running to your vomit, which was like it was back in the day. I remember one pre-season, and I think we went to Holland, and it was all times. You know, it was all times. And I remember Mo Ross and Fernando Rickson, God bless him, and Dick Advocaat saying, "Slow down." Slow down, mate. I've got you getting in 10 seconds later than what, slow down. When I want you to go faster, I'll let you know that I want you to go faster. So it just seemed one of those pre-seasons, probably one of my best pre-seasons where you've got a real gradual build-up. Games come earlier in the pre-season because I want more about football and
match fitness.
And I mean, you can run all day and all that sort of stuff, but you need to get the match movements and the game kind of mentality and all that sort of stuff. So already within 10 days, you're playing games.
Yeah.
And
that's what you want as a player.
Players love that, eh?
Of course, you don't get fit.
We all know that the more
I'm usually sitting watching them, but I do enjoy being involved in it.
Yeah, but I mean that's just it's like when you see coaches that kind of rip the arse out of a training session, stop, start. Like for a player, you just
want to get a bit.
You want to play.
Yeah.
You want to play. So to have a pre-season where we started playing games early, and you've got a coach telling you to slow down in the early parts of pre-season, I'm like,
you're laughing at it. So did he give you that conversation, as you say, when you win his trust? Did he let you know that you were his man?
He did, but when I talk about the trust, so I don't know whether you're going to lead to the question. He took me off in one game we played. I think it was the first game of the season against Kilmarnock at home. I made a mistake. The ball was coming in. I thought it was going to bounce at a level where I could kind of head it clear. It didn't bounce to where I think it was going to bounce. I didn't head it. I didn't volley it. I kind of didn't do anything with it. Ends up, back stick, cut back, goal. He took us off after 23 minutes.
Did he? He even got that in you.
Off you come, son.
Oh my God, are you fuming?
I'm not. You're disappointed, eh? You're disappointed and think, yeah, I made a mistake. I know I made a mistake, but I can bounce back. So I think this was at the start of the season because we were playing, it might have been Beta Jerusalem or something like that. We had a European qualifier, not 100% sure who. Pulls me in on Monday and says, if that's what you're going to give me, he says, then I'm going to go out and sign another central defender because that's nowhere near good enough. And I'm thinking, okay, no. And I go, no problem. I says, you go sign another central defender. I says, but just to let you know, I'll be the one that's playing. And he goes,
yes.
He goes, that's what I wanted to hear. And that was a moment where...
A wee test for you, I think.
Certainly a test, but it was a moment where I think that we built that trust. And all of a sudden, I believed that I went on to play my best football.
Brilliant. It was a new look Rangers team. How good were some of the players? Newman, guys like that, top players.
Top class, yeah.
Had Newman on as well. What a guy.
Mate, was he not singing?
No, he wasn't singing, but he was telling us about. He didn't drink before he came to Glasgow, and after it, he was.
Mate, he was king. He was king. David Bowie lookalike. Mate, he was a rascal.
He's a legend, isn't he?
Mate, top man, unbelievable footballer. But he was great in the dressing room because he made fun of himself. He could enjoy himself. He had pedigree. But you look at the likes of Arthur, Giovanni van Bronckhorst, Mikey Moles before he picked up the ACL injury was unbelievable.
That wee turn he used to do.
Ah, mate, it was.
Did he do you in training that a few times?
Of course, but then I
Then
realised you just stand on his right shoulder, and you're okay. You're okay because he'll never get by you that way.
Why? Because he wasn't the quickest?
He wasn't the quickest, so you'd always get a chance to get back.
Right.
But if you get caught on the left shoulder, mate, forget about it. But it was great for us because, again, we seen it every day. And if you could get the ball to Mikey Moles up top, you knew that 9 times out of 10 he was actually beating his central defender, and you're getting 2v1s and goals.
Yeah.
So no, he was brilliant. But you look at the players then. So like it says, Giovanni's. I mean, big George Alberts was at the back end. You had 2 guys that come in. You got Claudio.
Oh, 2 guys, mate. Didn't even get me.
Claudio Reyna, Rodney Wallace was unbelievable. We had Kanchelskis there, who was ledge.
What was Kanchelskis like again?
Mate, he was brilliant. He was brilliant. Again, he come with, he could have come being a right snobby bastard. Come from top clubs, had an unbelievable profile. Mate, was fantastic. And he gave us I guess so much in terms of that ability just to. It was an outball.
Yeah, just give him the body.
Mate, it was an outball because defenders hated seeing Kanchelskis having the ball and being 5 yards off him.
Yeah. What about favourite?
Neil McCann as well.
Neil
the other
McCann.
side.
Neil McCann's a fiery guy, isn't he?
Oh, he doesn't mind a scrap, the wee man.
So would that team be? Cause see, like the top players, the foreign players, the Dutch players, could they be up for a scrapping training as well?
That took a little bit more for them to get
going.
To get going, all that sort of stuff. We normally had a few more that'd be jumping in before.
So who would McCann usually have it with in training?
The big man, not the big man. We said he had to be separated once from Big Ammo. I think it was at Easter.
That's like a Jack Russell
Easter
attacking an Alsatian.
There was a little treatment table, all that sort of stuff. And I think the first half hadn't gone the way we'd have liked, and Ammo had said something, and the wee man's flying across the treatment table, all that sort of stuff, trying to grab Lorenzo. I mean. But again, the great thing was that then that motivated us to go on and do a job. And more importantly, the next day, there was never anything that carried on.
Nah.
It was just, mate, because we wanted to win, we knew that the energy was coming from the right place. But at the same time, that meant at times we did have disagreements and arguments and people flying across tables and people separating each other.
Top club, mate. Top players, that's what happens, isn't it?
Nah, I think so.
Winning the league in your first year.
What's that?
Winning the league in your first year back, how good was that? Obviously, maybe thought your Rangers career was done. Come back and you win the league in your first year, playing a pivotal part.
Yeah, look, it was again just unbelievable to come back and kind of feel as if now as a starting 11 player, playing as a central defender, trying to also there was a part of me that I wanted to prove to the Rangers fans that I was a good player. I don't think that they seen the best of me because the young player, honeymoon period, and all of a sudden now. Playing out of position and maybe not being fantastic in their eyes. I know there were certain times where, I had a really tough spell and to try and come through that. And that was, a 12, 15-month spell. But coming back, winning a league, feeling as if you've really contributed to that league success was a really good feeling.
See, when you're saying that, when you played centre half, that you played the 39 games or something that season, I remember watching you as a kid thinking, some of the tackles, man. Was that always your mindset? I need to hit the striker early doors?
Nah, not really. But again, like I played with players like a Frank de Boer, for example, where Frank maybe didn't want to go and win that header. He'd like to be smart and say, well, okay, there's not a runner off that. Let him flick it on. And I get that. But I liked the that battle, that contest. And if I could go and I can let it go. Or I can flick it on or whatever. But if you go and dominate and show early doors, for me, it just kind of sets a tone for the match.
Yeah.
And not only that, so you mark your striker's card, but the positive impact that can then have on
even lift the crowd and everything.
Your players to go on and play at a level, because if you don't start matches, it's very hard to then get going, So it's about starting well, and again, that's what I tried to do.
Who was your best battles with?
I say Larson. And that's because for me he was a fantastic footballer. He scored goals at every level, and he was certainly one that we enjoyed good battles. Certain battles I won, certain battles he won, but I was always on my toes because I felt that he could always punish you. You know, he had that little bit of cunningness that, you know, where he's not interested and let you build up, but he's interested. He's waiting, and he just sniffed out opportunity. Great finisher. He was a great player, and I think those battles were games that I enjoyed. You know, Hartson and Sutton.
Were they verbal?
Yeah, no, to be fair,
Right.
Hartson wasn't, but again, I liked the way that the big man played because he was old school. So, of course, he's going to catch you. But at the same time, if he gets caught, he doesn't say a word.
No, he's fine.
So, you know, if you're gonna get stuck in and you're gonna give it, then you got to take it. Sutty was probably a little bit, but he's not changed.
What sort of stuff would you say to you? Big time shouts.
I remember Sutty. I think I caught him in one of the old firm games. I kind of caught him a little bit from behind, and he's kind of, you know, he's giving me that one. He says, "Oh, that's brave, catching me from behind." One of those ones. And I go, "Mate, get the ball, face me. I'll hit your front on, side on from behind." Mate, and about 5 minutes later, the ball's popped up in the air, and I can see that his eyes are rolling. He's tried to catch us with an elbow, get a yellow card. But again, that's part and parcel. No, we weren't going out to kill each other. But there's certain battles that happen on the field as well. But Larson was, I really enjoyed my challenges, and the reason I say that is because he was such a class player, and you want to test yourself against the best. Top quality.
We had Amaris on, as I say, who felt certain elements of Advocates' management led to declining form. Would you go along with that? Maybe thought he was a bit too strict. The phones and the eating together.
But again, that happens at the beginning in terms of somebody wants to set their stamp on the expectation. I felt that as time went on, that then it slackens off a little bit. I mean, but there was one situation. I remember we were going to Florida for pre-season, so I think it was that mid-break year. Ian Ferguson was in Florida.
Right.
And Fergie's contacted Dick Advocaat, says, "Look, you know, obviously I'm in Florida, holiday and all that sort of stuff. Where do I catch up? Where are we going to be going? Where are we staying? Blah, blah, blah." And Dick Advocaat goes, No. You must fly back to Glasgow and then fly with the team back to Florida.
Oh my God.
So there was a kind of idea.
Just let him meet the team, man.
Mate, so...
How did Ian Ferguson react to that?
He was fuming. He was kidding me on. It doesn't make any sense, but that was in the early part. So that was Dick making his statement in terms of what he was looking at. But that kind of faded over time. Lorenzo, I've seen bits and pieces, obviously, you know, with the captaincy and stuff like that. So he'll have different things. But again, he didn't present within the football club in any other way than professional, how he felt when he went home.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody else was probably getting their ear chewed about how he was feeling, but he certainly never let himself down at any stage.
See, on Ian Ferguson, Newman noticed that after a game, Ferguson's like, "I don't care how many fucking World Cups you've won. This is Celtic v Rangers. You need to get your finger at."
That was normal for Fergie, you know, and again, somebody that you know, has such a connection with the football club, who'd been, I think Fergie's one of the ones that's won every single medal in that 9-in-a-row period.
Right.
Mate, whether he was playing, whether he wasn't playing, he made sure that everybody knew exactly what they were playing for. Yeah. And that was something that Fergie would come out with regular. Yeah, this game means more than anything that you'll ever be involved in. You go out there and fucking do the job.
With Celtic and Rangers games especially.
Yeah. Yeah, he'd get a little bit fired up for those ones.
Just look at your face thinking of some of the shit he used to say. You've said about Advocaat, but why did you play so few times in the 2000-2001 season?
For Advocaat, I picked up an injury. It was look, when I didn't play under Advocaat, I was injured. I was out forever with my knee, to be fair. I had three knee operations in the space of 7 months.
Right.
So that would have been in that. I think actually we were playing Celtic. It was that wild night, and I had there was a tackle with Mark Viduka, and I've seen the tackle again, and I have this. You could see I've got a wince of pain, and I actually done my knee in that tackle in that game. So I had a massive cleavage tear, which they didn't realise until the third operation. But at that stage,
cleavage tear.
It was a massive cleavage tear, not cleavage, but massive. Right. And so I ended up going back to Australia to get that sorted out because I wasn't having the success that I wanted here. So I went back to Australia, but I was out in the end about 12 months with that. So that probably wasn't why I was playing there.
Right, See, just on, you mentioned Viduka there.
Yes.
He's an enigma. What kind of guy is he?
He's different. He's different for sure. He's probably right now. He's in Croatia in Zagreb, a cigar on his yacht. Probably.
That.
But the big man's the type where, like I says, mate, you got to check his pulse to see if he's alive. He's that laid back. Another nickname that I heard that he had back in the day, and this might have been more to do with the Celtic group rather than us. But he had the nickname of the old Hoover.
Why?
Bit slow to pick things up.
Tremendous. Then Alex McLeish comes in, taking over.
Yeah.
Did the club need somebody like Alex McLeish to come in after Advocate?
Well, at the time, remember, McLeish took the job and Advocate was kind of staying as a director of football kind of thing. That didn't last very long, and I don't know whether it was because of... I don't know. You know, sometimes when the ex-manager goes upstairs and looking over a new manager coming in, I can understand why it probably was a little bit awkward. McLeish coming in, obviously we all knew of Alex and the good jobs that he'd previously done. I mean, he was with Motherwell and Hibs, I believe.
Hibs, yeah. What did he change? What did Alex McLeish change? So such a quick improvement. What is he, more manager than Dick Advocate maybe?
No, I think like sometimes just that freshness, you know. All of a sudden, new players that maybe hadn't had an opportunity, have got an opportunity. There's a sense of a clean slate. Everyone's lively again. It just happens naturally, you know. Sometimes Alex come in, like I said, with unbelievable knowledge of the football club, of the league, type of players that he wanted to bring, and when you come into a big club, even as a manager, you've got to be successful, and he hit the ground running for sure.
But you started in the 3-2 Scottish Cup final over Celtic. What are your memories? You must remember that game.
Your memories kept on this one. Well, I played that game. I don't remember the games that I'm playing. Look, I remember that game. I remember that we were chasing the game. But I remember a moment in this game actually where I think we were 2-1 down, and is it Didier Agat and Neil McCann? There was just this battle that's kind of, Didier was one of those ones that he travelled well with the ball, and he travelled 30 yards, and Neil McCann had matched him yard for yard, and ended up winning the ball, and then the momentum kind of, and I just felt as a player going, by the way, this is a turning point. We're gonna go on and get back into this game. At this stage, you're not thinking about winning the game because you're thinking equaliser, extra time, whatever. Barry, is that Barry scored the free kick?
Was it Barry or Barry scored the free kick? Yeah, Barry scored the free kick.
He scored the equaliser, and I think maybe the goalkeeper was trying to be a little bit too clever.
Gave him the old McCoist.
Don't guess. Don't guess. Just stay. So Barry's giving him that one. I remember chasing Barry down, thinking, yes, but you're a dancer. We're riding this, and again the feeling from that. We're going to go and win this football match. You could see that they were hanging. Yeah. They were hanging. Their legs had gone. Their mind had gone. And we just had this huge lift. But I put it down to Neil McCann. And I believe he also delivered the cross maybe for Lovenkrands to score the winner.
Yeah.
So
I didn't Neil McCann?
Teddy McCann was brilliant.
Wow.
Sometimes you just have one action, one moment in a game of football that
changes it.
That can turn things. Up until then, of course, it's contested. You're fighting, but just this moment, I believe, changed the match.
I think Mo Ross started that game as well.
He did.
He was on here. I don't know if you know, but you are Mo Ross's hero by now.
Good on you,
Craig Muir, the whole
that money I gave him back in the day helped there.
But he's an intense character, Monty. He loves his football.
Mate, loves it.
Would you two be ones that would be at it with each other constantly?
I mean, Mo, like, again, I kind of, with Mo, know the younger player coming through, I'd kind of been that player. Try to help him and encourage him to go on and do bigger and better things. There was times, obviously, that we would have debates, and what I love about Mo is he loves a debate as well. But you know what? He was one of those ones that unbelievable athlete. He probably put himself down, in my opinion, a little bit too much, because I felt as if he had. Great qualities, but he kind of a little bit maybe a confidence thing within himself, because you don't play for Rangers the amount of times that Maurice Ross played for Rangers if you're a bad player. So what he delivered for the time that he did deliver was first class. Intense in terms he loves football, and I've kind of followed, and we stay in contact to this day. His pathway we touched on was a little bit different to the norm in terms of getting into the coaching side of things and where he's been.
He's going to be a top coach by now.
I've heard and I've seen him. Like I said, I went out and watched Motherwell train the other day. He invited us out there, which was good of him. And it's good to see these boys, do well. The coaching's not for everybody. Yeah. I mean, I've got no interest in it. But it's good when you see the ones that, are kind of just follow on that journey, and I'm sure there's bigger and better things to come.
Right, I need to ask you about the celebrations, and also Bob Malcolm's told us about the Bothwell drinking school.
Bothwell? Well,
what was it, a minivan you said?
Oh, no. I think Honda used to... this was 2002, 2003, the year that we won the treble. Myself, Kevin Muscat, Bob Malcolm, Barry Ferguson, Stevie Hughes. We were sponsored by Honda, I think, so we had the shuttle bus, right. So designated driver every day. But because there was 5 of us, on the way home for a training, we used to call it shandy time.
I love it.
So we used to stop at a pub in Uddingston, Bar 48 it was called. Well, that's if the vote went to stop.
So I'd always go to a vote?
I have to go to a vote. So what the art of it was, if you were desperate to get home, just keep your mouth shut. Because as soon as I knew that you were desperate to get home, mate, when I went to a vote, we just rigged the vote to make sure it was 3-2. In you go, you have to have a shandy. But it was, for me, it was just like, again, it wasn't going in having 10 points. It was going in having a shandy, sitting about, talking football, team bonding, and for me, it was unbelievable. They were the days. We did used to stop every now and then, driving to the training ground. I think we go by Spears Wharf.
Right.
Oh, Bobby Malcolm loved the little spot there. He used to stop and be sick there all the time.
On the way to training?
On the way back.
What kind of guy? We had Bob Malcolm on. He's a funny boy, isn't he?
No, he's brilliant. He's, again, a really, really good friend of mine. I find him very, very reliable. Mate, he's ruthless. He smashes you at every opportunity. Just a great guy. I seen him early doors when I come back, and he come out and made a nice visit in his ice cream van.
Did he come in the van, did he?
Mate, he come in the van.
He loves it, didn't he?
He put the music on for us. He gave the boy a couple of bottles of iron brew.
What a guy, man. See, outside of that 5, who else in that team was good for a social one? Newman.
Newman loved it.
What did Newman like? A nightclub?
Mikey Moles.
Did he, right?
The boys liked to go out. Again, they weren't big drinkers and all that sort of stuff, but we had every squad I was involved with, we had 10, 12 players that bonded a lot, that were out regularly.
Would you want that to happen, or would you make that happen?
Look, again, team building.
Yeah.
Team building might be different today. I'm sure it is. But back in those days, it was kind of common, and the team were together. They enjoyed good times. You get to know each other, know each other's families, and all that sort of stuff. And I think that then delivers a better workplace where you can go on and perform. But at the same time, we knew the line.
Yeah.
We knew the line. You can't.
And it's similar to back in the day, like you said. If you couldn't do it in training, then.
Well, see, back then we were the majority. Like nowadays, if you're doing what was being done back in the day, you're the minority, and you stand out.
Yeah.
You stand out. You can't do it. Like nowadays, as well, we didn't have the social media as much. Like if you're going to take any abuse, you take it on the radio. Nowadays, it's people have got their phones, and there's pictures, and mate, we could have been in all sorts of trouble.
It'd be terrible. But see, when you were out, would fans ever come and join in with you, or would you just get left on?
Nah, loads. Like for me, again, and I felt that I always had a decent relationship with people in Glasgow in particular, and whether they were Rangers supporters, Celtic supporters. Like for me, you go out. You're not looking to cause any grief. You're going out to have a good time. Used to love talking about football and things in general. And I could be at the bar at the end of the night having a beer with a Celtic fan.
Could you?
For me, it was no problem. Of course, there's a time and a place, and sometimes the environment can be a little bit hostile or whatever. You don't find yourself in those situations because bad things can happen. But my experiences in general were really, really good.
A beer's a beer, mate. Have a beer with anyone.
Mate, again, if you come to Scotland and you don't come as a Rangers supporter or a Celtic supporter, I only hear people say, by the way, what an unbelievable place Scotland is, and how brilliant the Scottish people are, and the banter, and they can't do enough for you. That's what I like about the place.
Brilliant. A few of your teammates that we've had on have told us about the celebrations after winning the league. You still had the final the weekend after. Did it go on for what's your version of events? I think Bob Malt was it in Bovril and was it your missus that came in to get you to the pub?
Messy week.
Messy
week.
How did it start?
We started with a few beers, obviously. But what it was is, so like, I was in Hamilton at the time. I was living in Hamilton, so we used to drink it. Uddingston was my go-to, yeah, because at Bar 48, it was an old man's pub, knew everybody. It wasn't about football. So that was a good pub for us, you know, because you could go in and switch off and have a couple of beers and relax and no stress. But Bothwell and Uddingston, there was a few different pubs and all that sort of stuff. So this was after we kind of had won the league, leading into this is early on in the week. It was a Monday, in fact, leading into the cup final. And I've said to the boys, listen, every 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops, we've got to move to the next pub.
It's like a pub crawl, huh?
We've got to move to the next pub, not because it was a pub crawl, because I go, the girls are going to come looking at some stage. The girls are coming, mate. They're coming. I don't know when, but they're coming at some stage. I said, so we've got to stay on the move. Right. So we had them going virtually the whole day, yeah. And eventually we get caught. I think it was in the Campbell Vaults. I think.
Oh, what a boozer, the Campbell Vaults.
It's good, eh?
Great boozer.
My missus, I think she was with Fergie's missus, with Margaret. And I think she seen one of Fergie's mates out having a sausage supper or something like that. And she goes, right, we've got them. We know where they are. Comes into the Campbell Vaults. Like there was a few different exits and entries and all that sort of stuff, mate. So you can see boys, as soon as my missus come in, mate, they're jumping out of all sorts, mate. All of a sudden there's taxis ordered, they're flying out. I was told to finish my point and I had to go home.
Get up the road.
So I done the right thing. But
Dad of the year, mate. You're dad of the year.
The girls come in with some head of steam though, by the way.
Were they raging it?
Oh my God! But they were, like I said, they must have been 2 or 3 hours, mate, jumping from place to place. So the plan was a good one. It worked for a little bit longer than what I thought, but eventually we got reeled in.
Did you feel rough in the final? I think somebody said they felt really rough.
Mate, by the way, because it was a tough final.
Dundee,
as well.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a tough final as well, and it was kind of a few of our players were dropping and cramping. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if this goes to extra time, we could be in trouble.
Imagine doing the treble on that.
Oh no! But
did Big Eck ever find? Did he ever know about it? Nah.
I think he knew a little bit about that week. Yes.
And he wasn't bothered. Nah.
No, he was really bothered.
Was he?
Yeah, he was really bothered.
Did you get a bit off him?
Plenty.
Yeah.
Plenty, yeah. Back then, because the Monday had come on a sponsors' night, and to be fair, we didn't turn up. We didn't turn up in great order. So yeah, there was a few fines flung about for that, and
worth the fine.
Yeah, we done the wrong thing, and we were punished and took our medicine, and then, like I says, to go on and win the treble. It's kind of just, it was one of those years, yeah. It was like, you know, shandy time, winning the treble that last week leading in. Probably not. What you tell the younger players now. But again, like I said, it's different.
It's a done thing back then, wasn't it?
Different generation, mate. It doesn't make us bad people.
Then you get asked to be the Rangers captain.
Yes.
You remember the day?
Do I remember the actual day? Nah, look, for me it was, I'd been at the club a long time. Had the opportunity to captain the club, which I was unbelievably honoured, you know, especially coming from Australia and kind of really been treated as a local, yeah. I've been at the club a long time. My one regret in terms of my time as a captain is I never lifted a trophy as a captain.
That was my next question.
See, and you know that would have been nice. I mean, I was in a situation where you know I had some success and 11, 12 trophies at the club, but I never lifted one as a captain. So that's something that I would have loved to have done. It never happened. And kind of probably then led not that particular not lifting a trophy as a captain, but the back end. Obviously, there's a few talking points that I'm sure you're going to get to.
See, when you were made captain, like, do you ever think back to the times where you told your dad, "I don't want to go to, I'm going to go play for an amateur team in Australia instead"? You ever think back to these sort of?
I think I mean, you kind of think about more the progress that you've made and how. You know how it could have been different, but more about just pride, you know, because we've got a great platform now as footballers and that sort of stuff. But it doesn't mean that it's easy to get there to become a professional. You know that. So when you get there and to have the opportunity to captain such a great football club, it was a huge honour and something that I kind of look back now with extremely fond memories. Just the one thing for me, and again maybe that's just because you're that competitor, is you never lifted the trophy. You never lifted.
You don't look good lifting a trophy, big man.
Nah, probably not. I think that's a grey beard now.
I always thought you were an ugly bastard when I was younger, but you're handsome, aren't you?
I don't know about that, mate. It's the first time that's ever been. Mate, we'll do this again.
You're like Daniel Craig or something.
Daniel Craig, nice.
Looking
nice.
well.
I'll take that.
Right, Olympics. Olympics were coming up in 2004. You were selected in the squad. You missed the start of Rangers season.
Yes.
Were you warned not to go?
Yes.
Were you?
Yes.
By who?
By Alex McLeish.
And how did you take to that?
I said that I'm going to the Olympic Games. And look, so there's a couple of things with this. I mean, a lot of respect for Alex McLeish. Still get on great with him. Still chat now. You have a feeling when you're coming to the end of your time at a football club, and there's nothing wrong with that. Rangers had agreed that they would sell me already prior to this.
And did they know that you knew that?
Of course, because they'd communicated that to my agent. That if an offer comes in for Craig Moore, he can move.
Did you say why?
No, they didn't say why. But again, sometimes it's football business as well. You've been somewhere for long enough. If you can chase the transfer fee, knock yourself out. So, Olympics. I missed the Olympic Games in 1996 because I broke my foot against Celtic. So I missed the Olympic Games as an underage, which is the right age group, under 23s.
Right.
And for me, the Olympic Games is once in a lifetime. It's it's a little bit different over here, although they do now have, I believe, a football team in the Olympics, UK.
GB,
yeah. But for me, like growing up in Australia, it's to represent your country, to go to the Olympic Games. That's how it's kind of the country is built, and that's what athletes strive for.
Dream.
So I missed it, and I missed it where I believe again I broke my foot, fifth metatarsal, and they waited, and I understand because I was young, they waited for it to heal, but because it never healed, they ended up then pinning it. So I was out 6 months. I should have been out 2 months.
Right.
Anyway. Opportunity.
Daft bastards.
Daft bastards. Opportunity then comes in 2004, and I'm coming to what I know is already the end at the football club. So I'm not missing this. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Frank Farina, who was a coach, has brought myself, John Aloisi, and Tim Cahill as overage players. I want to be part of that. Alex McLeish phoned us and said, "Look, Oz, we need you for these qualifiers. We don't want you going to the Olympic Games." And I was like, yeah, I understand, Alex, but this is kind of where my headspace is at and reason why I want to go. And I know that we're kind of, potentially, I could be sold anyway. So it was just all those things. I kind of knew it was coming to the end of my time. I made a decision. I take shit for it today from certain supporters and all that sort of stuff. But I stand by it. It was for me. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity. It was a great experience, and more importantly, I knew that my time was up at the football club.
Did you say that to him too? I know that I'm leaving, so why are you bothered?
At the time, yeah.
And what, did he try and play like he never knew?
No, not that he never knew, but it's like any manager. He's wanting his best players for the most important games. So I don't expect anything different from Alex. Yeah. That was normal, but it was just.
And what about the captaincy? Did you just take it off you straight away?
Pretty much, yeah. And
did he say that to you? I'm taking the captaincy away from you.
No, it wasn't really something that because you're doing this, I'm going to take the captaincy off. That was just the next stage of what happened. It was probably the only time as well, I think I had a disagreement with David Murray, because he had big control over the media, big control, especially the papers. And every day, it was, like, I wasn't here to kind of defend myself or to give another side of a story. It was kind of like, bang, bang, let's slap Oz. And I go, come on. And eventually when I come back, I kind of,
Did you phone him?
Nah, I seen him. We were at the training ground and kind of had a heated exchange. And you know that one where you feel you still present, but you can feel you're emotional. It's kind of, I was disappointed because I'd spent a long time at the football club and certainly didn't want to end anything in a bad way. I felt as if I'd given them everything. At the same time, prior to the Olympic Games, they'd agreed that I could go to Blackburn, sign for Blackburn. I come out of the Olympic Village to sign for Blackburn, but I failed a medical.
Oh, did you, right?
So that was all before all that.
And no one sees this sort of stuff either, eh? Wow. Do you think it was the right decision for Rangers to let you go at that time?
Yeah, it probably was.
Why?
Because sometimes you come to the end of the road.
I know, but playing wise.
Yeah, no, but again, sometimes there's a period of time where I think somebody's been at a football club. I never ever, even in terms of the way that I retired, I wanted to be that person that's hanging on.
I'm still doing that, mate.
You know, I can see the nails there. No, but you know, it's like, for me, that's just never been me. I've always wanted to go, leaving Rangers knowing that I could play still, retiring from international football, retiring from football in general after the 2010 World Cup, knowing that I still could play, but probably here a little bit over things. That was just my preference.
So why Germany?
Dick Advocaat. No, I'll tell you what, yeah, so Dick Advocaat was at Mönchengladbach. Right. And I failed a medical at Blackburn. Right, so I remember saying when I failed the medical at Blackburn, I was like, please keep this in-house. This is like, this sort of stuff gets you out for a football. I'm got no chance of getting removed. So I go, yeah, of course you will. Yeah, of course they didn't. Mate, it was, everyone knew about it. So when my agent was speaking to any of the clubs in England, mate, he's got a dodgy knee. I didn't have a dodgy knee. Just had to manage it. So again, Dick come to the rescue and give us
call from Dick.
He says, I don't know whether Dick actually phoned John or John Viola phoned Dick Advocaat. Either way, they said, yeah, no, let's look at that. That's something we're interested in. So the idea was to go back and get playing, to show people that I was fit, to get games under my belt. Went into a tough league. Bundesliga is a fantastic league, great stadiums. Gladbach weren't the Gladbach that they are today. They're flying high. We were 17th. We were fourth bottom. So I went, played 15 games back into the season. It was a relegation dogfight. It's a new experience. Didn't improve it because we finished 17th, but we survived. But no, great experience. And then there was a time when we kind of were talking about a new 2-3 year contract extension. But Dick ended up leaving. And when he left, then German trainer come in who was with the second team come in, and I kind of knew that then
he wouldn't be for him,
there wasn't.
So you just finally on it. How tough was it to leave Rangers in the end?
No, it was extremely tough, like I said, because you know the amount of time that you spend at the football club, your friends, the people that you worked with at the football club, you know, from everybody at the football club, you know, the girls and the people that worked in the kitchen that were looking after you on a daily basis, everybody couldn't do enough for you. So you're very, very sad to leave that. Jimmy Bill, love Jimmy Bill.
Go on, give us a Jimmy Bill story.
No, Jimmy was ruthless, mate. He was.
What would the kit man slaughter players?
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't slaughter players, but I tell you what, if he didn't like you, mate, you got zero joy out of him.
Really?
Ah.
What, he just blank in that?
Mate, he'd give you custard. He'd give you donuts. Mate, you get nothing.
Did you ever get that at the start of that?
No, at the start he was a little bit, he was a little bit standoffish and all that sort of stuff. But in the end, for me, I don't think people speak enough about Jimmy Bill.
In fact, he never really gets mentioned.
Mate, he's been there forever, and I think he's been Rangers' best signing by far. No, he's just a legend.
Do you ever get a beer with him?
No, I don't get a beer with him.
Does he socialise with any of the players now?
No, he doesn't. He
just keeps himself
to himself, but hard worker. Always, you know, looked after us. Man, I got on great with him. I think, you know, when I come back, like it says, the players come and go.
Yeah.
But the one constant has always been Jimmy Bill.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I remember I was trying to get a hold of Coisty and Durante and all that. And I couldn't get a hold of him. And Jimmy's like, "Come on, mate, come in, get a coffee and all that sort of stuff." I go, "No, but I don't feel as if, you know, like I've not got a hold of Coisty. I've not got a hold of Durante. They've not told me to come in." He goes, "Mate, you're coming in, Oz. Come on." That was Jimmy Bill.
So you just sat. What was that in Murray Park?
Aye.
Brilliant.
Top man.
Right, Newcastle.
Yes.
Graham Souness signed you for. I love Graham Souness. Love him on the telly. Just tells you as it is.
Mate, he's good, isn't he?
Is he like that as a manager?
Yeah, he was. Again, he probably wasn't there for a lot of the time, and he would have been disappointed in me.
Would he?
Because I picked up an injury straight away. So, I remember we were working out in the gym and all that sort of stuff, and he was still ticking over because, he'd had his issues with his heart.
Yeah.
And I'm in the gym trying to get fit after, him signing us and then me picking up an injury. So, look, it was a really frustrating time for me. I had the opportunity to play in the EPL, which for me was something that I really wanted to do. Disappointing thing for me at Newcastle was, again, great football club, great people. Souness got a lot of time for. I just don't feel as if I really paid the people back and the fans back, because only 50% of the time I was fit.
Did he give you a bit like for no being fit?
Oh, in his own Souness way. It wasn't. It wasn't personal.
Like backhand.
Nah, it was just more like like
you're killing me.
Mate, you're killing me. I'm under pressure. You're not fit. We've signed you. I go, yeah, but we just signed out Luke for $8.5 million. And he's not fit either. I go, mate, that was a free. Okay, surely you should be a little bit more worried about it. Nah, but Souness is brilliant. We used to have some good chats about Australia. He's very fond of Australia.
You ever see him lose it?
Not at Newcastle. And again, so I didn't have him. I was after his time at Rangers. My experience was good with him. I never seen him lose it, and certainly at the stage of his life with what had happened.
Oh, he's hard in that. He's still joining in training then?
He was quite calm. He wasn't joining in training and nights and stuff. So there was no scissors. There was no. But like I said, I mean, he's enjoyable to watch now on television, isn't he?
Oh, he's good. Just honest, mate. That's what you want for people, isn't it?
Mate, and that's it. He's not looking over his shoulder. He's not worried about jobs. He's talking about football, what he loves, and he's being honest.
Brilliant. He signed the same year as Michael Owen. Yes. There's been a lot has been made recently about his controversial kind of spell there and things that he said. Could you tell he'd sacked off?
His book or I mean, I got on brilliant with Mo. He used to love getting in nice and early, and he had his racing post out because we know he loves the horses. Mm-hmm. I love the horses.
Oh, do you? How do you love horses?
Yeah, no, I love the horses as well.
Do you ever go up to his stables now?
Yeah, because myself, Mo, Scotty Parker and Nicky Butt had a couple of horses.
Oh, did you, right?
Yeah, so one of them, I don't know, one was called Moscow Osnick. So Mo, Scotty, Oz, Nick Butt, Moscow Osnick.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it didn't do anything.
Injured.
I forget the name of the other one. But so yeah, like I says, we enjoyed the horses. We had a good group of people at Newcastle. I think the time in the book that hit the headlines was the time when I wasn't at the football club, and the time when Shearer took it. Yeah. That was after me. I'm not just saying that. Yeah. So you don't catch it. But mate, like I says, Mo was a great lad. He had bad luck as well. We come in and I think he'd done his ACL. Yeah. He had an injury.
Right, World Cup. You played in the World Cup, man. How good's that? How much pride do you take?
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. We a bit like Scotland at the moment. It was a long time since we played in a major competition. Yeah.
It wasn't as long as this, was it?
No, we were 32 years.
Oh, were you, right? Wow.
So last time Australia qualified, 1974, 2006. So 74 was West Germany, right. 2006 was Germany. So it was kind of a lot of omens and how it come together, and it's probably one of the greatest Australian nights in the history of sport, because of the penalty shootout. Mark Schwartz is unbelievable in the penalty shootout. John Aloisi scores the winner against Uruguay, who knocked us out in 2001. Qualified for the first time in 32 years. To play at a World Cup, again, I was lucky where you played Junior World Cups, played professional football, win trophies, Champions League, Europa, and now you're playing in a World Cup.
You've done it all, big man.
And then you go, wow. And kind of you have this expectation of what a World Cup was going to be like, mate, but it surpassed everything that I could have.
How was so good? It was just the atmosphere in that.
Everything about it, yeah. It's just detail. We stayed in this big lodge manor house where we were based in Germany, and it was there was nobody else there. It was just us, and it had a private golf course, and it was my big glass. It was just. It was ridiculous. So we had Hiddink, who obviously had been there before and experienced manager.
What's he like, Hiddink?
No, he's good, but again, he's brutal. You know.
Is he? Yeah?
Oh, mate, if you don't. If you're not one of his players, then mate, you're not getting much love. But again, they just want results.
Yeah.
And they do whatever they can to get those results. So, look, to play in the World Cup, the best thing about that World Cup, and it shows you the progression, I guess, for Australian football, which we stalled a little bit. We went into the last group game against Croatia. Expectation in Australia that Australia are going to win this match. Croatia were ranked 5 in the world. at that time. They were 5th in the world. And we go 1-0 down. We end up getting, we come back 2-2. That's the game I was lucky enough to score a penalty in. Harry Kuehl scores the equaliser. We go through. But that's, qualifying for World Cup now. Qualifying for World Cup's not enough. The expectation is, can you then get through a group stage? And they were 5th in the world.
Wow.
Man, we got a great result against them. But it was just unbelievable. Turning point, or the talking point of that tournament, is we get knocked out by Italy, who go on and win the World Cup. Dodgy penalty because I think it was Grosso who's driving down the left side, cutting in the box. Lucas Neal goes to ground. He's clever and kind of
jumps over him, but clips him.
Sees it. Penalty, 90th minute, I think. Totti, goal, finish, game done. Game done. So that was tough, because then you go and watch them win the World Cup. Yeah. It's not to say we would have won the World Cup, but the margins.
You matched them for that full game.
The margins between success and failure at that level.
They also played against Ronaldinho, Kaká in that as well.
Yeah, we got beat 2-0.
How good do they?
Mate, that was actually that was an interesting game, because we ended up getting beat 2-0. We don't general play. They don't really cause us too many issues. I think at 1-0, Dida comes out to take a ball at the edge of the box, drops it. Harry Kuehl's virtually on goal, clear sighted goal, and I don't know how he missed. And I've had this conversation with him. He goes, mate, I don't know how I missed as well. I don't know whether I was already celebrating or whatever. Could have been 1-1. Who knows what could have happened? We ended up losing the game 2-0. But again, we certainly didn't let ourselves down. And we, like I said, at that stage, our team were 23 of the players, 21 were based in Europe and playing at a level.
Good level.
And playing at a level.
What's the social side like in a World Cup? Would Gus, like you said, a shandy time there?
Yeah, he didn't mind a glass of wine. Yeah, a glass of wine. He did.
Who was your mates at Australia? Kuehl? Missus was brilliant in Everton, wasn't she?
I never watched him a day.
Oh, brilliant. I get stuck with
EastEnders or Corrie or something like that. He was a big spider. Big Zelko Kalac was my main man.
Right. Big striker?
No, he was a big goalkeeper. He was AC Milan.
Oh, right, okay.
AC Milan, 6'7". Great lad. No, but we had Vinny Grella, we had Mark Bresciano, Tony Popovic, who was at Palace for a while. Yeah.
What's Lucas Neal like?
Yeah, Lucas, good lad.
He's a bit of a psychopath, isn't he?
No, he's not a psychopath. Lucas, again, a young player that come over young, a bit like myself, Timmy, and Harry. We all kind of come over 17, 18. So again, they learn what it's like to adapt to a different environment, and you got that ruthless side. But that's because when you first come over, we're not friends. You're trying to kick the living shit out of me because you don't want me to take your jersey.
Want to get ahead of you, yeah.
It's normal.
Brilliant. Right, finally, mate, 2010 World Cup. Do you always have it in your mind, as you said, but you're going to finish after the World Cup? Yeah. What a way to go,
yeah, and again, everyone's different. At this World Cup, physically, I was at my best. Weight-wise, everything in terms of how I got there. I had three months preparation in Greece before leading into this World Cup. Best condition. My first international game was against Ghana back in '95. My last game at this World Cup, 2010, was against Ghana. So I just felt
that's right.
It's come full cycle. I'm going to go back to Australia. Yes, I can play at another club and go. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go out at the highest level, and the World Cup is the highest level. And I was very, very happy to hang them up at this stage, and didn't really know where I was going to go, what my direction was, but just felt that I wasn't in a position mentally to be able to have the best influence in terms of the younger players, which I always took a keen interest in to try and help them. I was mentally a little bit frazzled, and just needed a break.
After your last game, were you emotional? Can I?
No, I wasn't.
Huh?
No, I wasn't. But I actually find that the older I get, the more emotional I've become. Whereas when I was younger, it's like you just full steam ahead, and you don't really take in, what I'm starting to take in now as an older man. No, but it's like as footballers, you go see a lot of different countries, but what do you see? You see a plane, a hotel, a stadium, and away you go. So I've been a lot of great countries. Have I seen enough? No. Was I emotional when I first finished? No. Was I thinking about it that much? No. Now, I'm still comfortable with the fact that I can go and watch a game and I'm not kicking it. Yeah. I'm not kicking the ball. I'm not sitting in the stadium thinking, I wish I was out there. I'm actually quite happy now following other people's journeys. Brilliant.
Just finally, how do you look back on your career? Tremendous career.
How do I look back on it? Look, I'm extremely proud that I ended up playing as long as what I did do with the injuries that I ended up unfortunately sustaining. I felt as if I was a competitor. I love that side of the game, but I also felt as if I could play. It wasn't just somebody that ran about trying to kick people. And I had a fair bit of success in terms of playing with a fantastic football club in a very, very good time. So I've been blessed in that way in terms of I've not really had any bad experiences with football clubs.
Brilliant. Craig Moore, what a man.
Thank you very much.
Cheers,
Top
mate.
man.
Thank you.